to the channel. This is Shoop with Shoop Sports. We're going to break down some more MLB games today. We're going to look specifically at the betting market, and then we're going to analyze the matchup itself, the players and stuff, and see what the best bets are. And we're going to look at the first 3 games on the schedule because, when I talk too much, my jaw gets tired, and I would love to go through every game for you guys, but I'm going to just go for the first 3, and then we can kind of go from there, find some bets. All right. So I'm first going to share my screen. All right, so here we go. So you should be seeing my OddsJam screen. OddsJam is the app that I use. I pay for it, and what it does, it shows me the best odds from every single game. So that way I know that whatever I am playing, I'm getting the best value possible. This is a betting exchange cut. So I like to go inside the matchup to see exactly what the market is telling me about all these games. And we'll start with the Nationals versus Orioles, which is a, beltway battle. If you are from the DMV area, then this is going to be a special matchup for you. But we are going to go into this. So let's take a look at the pitching matchup first off. Got Jake Irvin versus Trevor Rogers. Let's start things off by looking at Trevor Rogers because Rogers was an acquisition from the Marlins. So as you see, he was acquired before August, and he's had 2 starts with them so far, and he's not been the best. We go a little deeper in here. He's not been that great all season. He's particularly bad in the beginning of the season, but as you see, his June and July, he was sneaky good, sneaky like better than the average pitcher, pitching around that 3-ish ERA, but has just not been performing since he got to Baltimore. So he can always turn around. He's shown potential. He's got to adjust with his new team, but for now, it's something to keep in mind because we go back here, you see how big of a favorite the Orioles are on most of these sports books. I mean, Pinnacle, the sharpest sports book in the world, has them at -170, but the rest of the betting landscape has them over -170. So clearly they know that the public is going to want the Orioles at home against a Nationals team that has fallen out of the playoff race. But let's not discount the Nationals totally. All right, so let's go back. And let's look at Jake Irvin, who has had his moments this year. He's looked like a very good pitcher at times this year. I went to this game, actually, the one that he pitched against the Mets, where he went 8 innings and gave up 1 hit. He was absolutely fantastic, but he doesn't always show it every game. He went back to the Mets and proceeded to get lit up by them on the road, also got lit up on the road against the Brewers, and this is a road game tonight against the Orioles, who most of the time are a good offense. I mean, they've just not been the most consistent team coming out of the All-Star break. What the reason for that is, I'm not sure, but it seems like whenever the Yankees struggle, the Orioles are there with them. But as you see, like they lost the series against the Marlins, and then after that, they turned around against the Blue Jays, but they also lost the series against the Blue Jays. Like they're not dominating, but they are first in the AL East. So I get why the Orioles are the favorite, obviously. Should they be this big of a favorite? I'm not sure, but I also don't think there's value on the Nationals here because of how Irvin has kind of blown up in a couple of recent road starts against similar teams. So let's look at individual matchups. And Washington has seen Rogers quite often because he was in Miami. So looking at these guys, we'll see if there's any value on any of these players. And there really isn't a ton. Abrams, he has hit a home run off of Rogers, but that was in 1 at bat. Luis Garcia in particular, he's seen him the most. He's went 2 for 9. Keibert Ruiz has hit him 2 for 7. So not fantastic numbers per se, but nobody's batting under 200 against him of the ones that have played him. So I think maybe a good market to look in is let's look at player hits allowed, because we can infer from this that Rogers might not um, surrender a bunch of runs, but he could get himself into trouble with some hits. So if I were to play something on this, I would play this over 5.5 hits for Trevor Rogers at minus 154 on BetMGM. And Pinnacle has this at minus 172 for this over. Now, this is a huge spread. OddsJam will show us what the sportsbook VIG is on all these lines, and it's massive. I mean, all the way up at 8%. Like a typical money line bet is at like around 4, 5, 6%. So anything 8% double digits is extremely high. So there's just not a lot of confidence in this market. So you're not going to find great odds, but I do think that this is a good number. Again, so let's go back to Trevor Rogers and let's look at his recent games. And you can see that he has gone over in his 2 starts with the Orioles and in his last 3 starts overall, and he's gotten at least 5 hits in his last 4 starts. So I think this is a good direction to go at. Also, terrible home pitcher, but then again, he played for the Marlins previously, so can't take that too much into consideration. So that's where I think the value lies. I think Rogers will give up hits, but don't necessarily know if the Nationals will have the ability to drive him home or drive their runners home. So that's where I would lean with that game. Let's move on to another game. So we're going to go back. What is next? All right, let's look at this Cubs Guardians game. We analyzed that yesterday, and we saw that the Cubs had the early lead with Imanaga. He started off so well, but the Guardians did come through in the end. They found out how to hit Imanaga. It was an exciting game. Finished 9-8. Cubs came back after being down 8-3, I believe. So what happens today? Well, now the Guardians, after showing what they could do last night and proving to the sports betting community that they are indeed back, now they are a big favorite. So they are in the minus 150s across the board. Pinnacle, they're minus 148. So looks like based on what where the market is, Pinnacle has this about right. And based on before looking at who was pitching, I could assume that's right. But now that I'm looking at who is pitching, I'm a little curious about this. I mean, the Cubs were hot before this. They had won 8 out of the last 10 before that blow up last night. And Javier Assad has been having a good year, although he has not been as good away. And we know that the Guardians have one of the best home records. So maybe that's what factors in to how this is calculated. Sorry, quick water break. But yeah, overall, the team has won his last 4 starts. He's given up 3 earned runs or less. And let's see, 3, 6, so 7 out of his last 8 starts, he's given up less than 3 earned runs or less. So he's been a solid pitcher. So I'm curious to know if maybe they think the Guardians are just so on fire that you can't bet against them. Because who is this Matthew Boyd guy? Let's see. So he's had appearances. Did he come from the Tigers? Yeah, it looks like he did. And was he a relief pitcher on that team? Looks like, yeah, he was an opener for at least one of these games. That one, he's an opener. But maybe he got hurt. Yeah, so he was a starter for a bit. You can see he's gone at least 5 innings in the 4 starts previous to that. I'm not sure what happened in these games, but he is a starter. His ERA is not great this year. He's given up at least 4 earned runs in 3 of his last 5 full starts. He gives up some home runs. ERA just consistently around 5, whether he was a bullpen guy or he was going a little bit longer. So I'm not exactly sure why the Guardians are such a heavy favorite with this kind of guy on the mound. It makes me a little bit skeptical. I definitely wouldn't go with the Guardians. I do think the Cubs have a bit of value. Now, whether I actually go with them is a different story, but I think maybe we should look at, see if anyone's seen any of these pitchers before. Very little experience against Assad for Cleveland. And then on the other side, we have what has Chicago done against Boyd, and also a little experience. Hap has gone 3 for 3 with a home run against him. So, uh, based on how I think Boyd might do, which I think he might give up some runs, let's take a look at what Ian Happ's bases are looking like. We'll wait for that to load. All right. Now let's see if it loads now. All right. Go down to Ian Happ. His just to get a hit is minus 160. I think the market is trying to tell me something different, as though like maybe it's not such great value to take him at 1.5 bases, but I think him to just get a base at minus 160 is a great price, and I'm going to actually lock that in later. So I like that play. Value on the Cubs, but like the Nationals game, there's concerns. I mean, just because. Sorry about that, guys. It looks like I just got disconnected, but I'm gonna reshare my screen. Um, so I don't think we missed much here, but basically what I was saying was the Cubs have value here. I just don't understand why the Guardians are favorited by so much, especially this, late in the day. It's 12 o'clock. The game is in 6 hours. The line probably would have moved already if the sports betting market thought differently. We can check to see if the ESPN bet line has moved at all. It opened at minus 130 and got steamed up to minus 155. So there's something clearly that I'm not seeing. So that's why I'm not going to take the Cubs, because I think they have value, and maybe they've gotten up to the point where they're worth taking a bet at that high of an odds. But sometimes the market knows better than I do. I'm only one person. So I'm going to just stick with that Ian Happ bet. And I think that's a solid bet that we can rely on. So let's go back and look at one more game. And I have, as you might have seen, I have the odds for the White Sox-Yankees game up. And I really, really want to talk about this game, because last night the White Sox absolutely crushed the Yankees. But the Yankees are coming back, and they are once again a mega favorite. And why wouldn't they be? I mean, the White Sox are still the White Sox. They're still the team that's only won 30 games. Maybe they have 29. Like, they're maybe the worst team in MLB history. And I think they should be rated as such, especially because the public loves the Yankees and the public is going to bet the Yankees. So I think the reason for these odds to be so high are justified. But if you're coming at it from a sharp betting standpoint, you're just looking at the numbers, it's overinflated. You should absolutely not be putting the Yankees as a bet in a parlay or anything. And the main reason why, if you go to the pitching matchup, so we're going to go Yankees, White Sox. It's Cortez versus Cannon. Cannon's actually got a better ERA than Cortez. Let's start with Cannon himself. 2.9 ERA at home. His team doesn't win much, so you're not going to see many wins on his record. But you can see recently he had a couple starts where he gave up 4 earned runs, but also 4 of his last 6 starts, he's given up 2 earned runs or less. So, and he goes deep into games, so the bullpen's not going to be as taxed. He goes at least 6 innings. Potentially his over 17.5 outs is something to look at as well. But Cannon's been solid ever since he came back up in June. He was not great when he was pitching a little bit in April, but I like his I like this guy to at least keep the White Sox in the game. Let's go to Cortez on the other side. Cortez is the hot and cold pitcher of the league. If you go to his splits, you can see that he's got ERA away of 6.08. So yeah, 6.08 away, 3.05 home. And he was actually much better at home, but he got blown up in his last start at home against the Angels. Yeah, he was torched at home and against the Rays. Overall, he's just been really bad recently. But yet he's there. Is anyone actually willing to put minus 300 on the road against this guy? For this guy, it doesn't make any sense. So there's two plays I'm going to look at in this game. One of them being this run line. At Pinnacle, it's plus 101 for the run line and plus 2.5. Plus 100 on BetMGM, so close enough in value. You're getting 2 runs of value on a pitcher who's great at home, an opposing pitcher who's terrible on the road, a team that's playing inspired. And the reason for that being is because Grady Sizemore is now the coach. And when you inject an interim coach who brings some spirit into the team and they know they have something to play for now it affects the team in a positive way. So I think there's value here. And if I could go to player outs and look at Jonathan Cannon, his over is at 15.5, and he's gone. If you look, let's go back. I showed you this before, but let's confirm it. He's hit this in his last 6 starts. His last 7 starts, actually. This line is way too low. So we're going to take advantage of those. So we like those 4 plays. We like the White Sox plus 2.5, Cannon to get over his outs. We like, Ian Happ to get a hit and Trevor Rogers to go over 5.5 hits. So go with those plays tonight. Thank you for tuning in. Sorry if you caught me while the stream crashed, but glad you stuck around. And this is Shoop Sports, and I'm signing out.